Tonight on CTV News, the controversial convention centre's back in the spotlight. It's all go for the new Christchurch bus interchange, and what next for Canterbury's top building apprentice.
Broadcasting across Canterbury from the CTV studio, this is First at 5.
Kia ora, good evening. It may cost nearly twice as much to build than thought, and with numerous delays, the planned Christchurch Convention Centre now stands to lose business as well. It's been a debate in the council chamber recently through the draft long-term plan hearings. Does the city need a new stadium, the Metro Sports Centre and the controversial Convention Centre? The Central City project sits vacant for the time being, with the project continuing to be pushed back. And at the opening of another anchor project, the Minister for Earthquake Recovery was questioned on the facility's future, saying the recent price blowout is nothing unusual.
In the last 2 years, there has been some price escalation. You'd expect that.
Back in 2013, when the cost-sharing agreement was signed by the previous council, the government said they would commit around $284 million to construct the convention centre and to purchase the land. But it's understood that number has skyrocketed to around $420 million. However, Minister Brownlee finds the new price tag interesting.
People are bandying numbers around all over the place, so that's interesting. But what we really have to do is get a design and a construction that's going to fit the city well for many decades ahead.
The Convention Centre precinct is set to house this site, but there's a possibility the facility could reduce in size to help with the cost blowout, meaning the design would have to go back to the drawing board.
In the end, we've got to get the design before we know exactly what that cost is and what the escalations over that estimate are.
So what's your preference out of those two options?
My preference is to get an asset for the city that works for generations to come.
And it'll feature other commercial buildings on the site, something the Minister says is important to note.
Well, there are many ways that you can do these things, and there's a lot of land there that the government owns that is for ancillary purposes, so we would expect hotels to be on that site as well, some commercial, some retail. It's not a simple, straightforward matter of building a concrete box and declaring it a convention centre.
In January this year, Christchurch had won the rights to host two major international conferences, which would see over 1,000 delegates come to the city, injecting around $3 million into the local economy. But one of the events, the International Conference on Computers in Education, was due to kick off in November 2017, but that may not happen and is likely to be put on hold, with the completion date of the centre now being pushed to 2018. However, the Minister says the Convention Centre would be a great asset for the city.
I think Christchurch needs a convention centre that is on a size, you'd say a step down or two from the Auckland Convention. What this country needs, frankly, is a solid network of convention centres of varying sizes so that we can continue to attract some of that big international convention centre business.
It's a waiting game now to see what is likely to happen next, with the site remaining bare in the meantime. Jared McCulloch, CTV News. 400 people were evacuated from Christchurch Airport this afternoon after a sprinkler went off in the food court on the first floor. It's understood a fire ignited at one of the food outlets. The airport says there were no injuries and all were allowed to re-enter the terminal 20 minutes later. However, there were some delays to flights. Well, it's finally open. Well, half of it at least. Commuters can now wait for their buses in covered comfort. It's the second anchor project to open, and the bus exchange is on time. A warm welcome for bus travellers heading to work this morning, with the first stage of the bus interchange opening in central Christchurch. And now stage 1 is complete, and the director of the Christchurch Central Development Unit has one word to describe how he feels about the opening.
Thrilled, like the rest of Christchurch, I think. You can see from the people here today that they're really enjoying the opening of the interchange. It's a very good quality facility. It's a really good job here, and I think this is a major asset which will serve the city well for many years to come.
And the chief executive from ECAN is also thrilled.
It's a real buzz. I've been here for an hour and a half and it's just fantastic watching people arrive, come off the buses, faces grinning, looking around the place, trying to work out where the exits are. For everybody here, for the drivers this morning, for the customers this morning, everybody's learning.
There have been a few delays throughout construction, with a technical glitch halting the official opening last week. But he says a software error is all part of the process to make for a reliable system for users.
a bit of a hiccup at the end there as we were going through the commissioning process, but that process is intended to just tease out things that aren't working so well, and it's really important that before we have people coming through the exchange that it was working well.
The bus interchange is one of the city's anchor projects, having a price tag of $53 million when fully completed, designed to help make Christchurch an accessible city. Stage 1 sees the Litchfield Street side open to the public, with only half the 16 bus bays in operation, as Stage 2 is still under construction.
Been 3 years in the making, but great time for it to arrive. What a great day for it to come when it's freezing cold outside, and instead of standing outside in the open as we were only 2 weeks ago, now we're standing in a warm, airy, modern building.
This concept design shows both stages of the interchange, with the first seeing 8 bus parks for people to jump on and off, all undercover. Stage 2 will see many more features, including retail shops, a cafe and a secure bike storage area. And as for the other anchor projects around the city that have been delayed, he says he's happy that the bus interchange has come out with a good result.
This has come in on time and on budget. There've been a few delays with some of the other projects, but not this one. And I'm really pleased that this one's got away. With the other ones, as we've said before, we've got an obligation to make sure that we get it right, not rushed, and that the money that's being spent is spent appropriately. So our task is to produce cogent business cases to our Minister and Cabinet, and also to Council. And the reality is that those decision processes take time.
And the Earthquake Recovery Minister Jerry Brownlee says it's a new era for people of Christchurch.
I think it's a significant day because it's another anchor project that has got very close to completion. You can see it's operational, but there's one more stage to go. But it reaffirms the government's commitment to Christchurch and the expense here, $53 million. It's not inconsiderable.
Well, a lot of people say, wow, expressing some surprise. A lot of people saying it's really nice to be waiting for the bus out of the weather. But in general terms, people that I've been talking to are really pleased.
And Bayfield believes it could be a hub for people to meet and socialise too.
I've been surprised at what a meeting place it is. How many people I know getting off the buses. It's more saying hi to people than talking.
And customers waiting to get on the bus told CTV News they liked what they saw.
I actually really enjoy it. Yeah, it's nice, it's modern, it's nice and warm even. It's great, I love it.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Much nicer facility here than being outside?
Yeah, oh yes, out of the cold.
Yeah, I think it'll be really good when it's finished. It's good, it's all inside, so cool.
It's been a long time coming, but Bayfield says it's been worth it.
I just want to thank the resilience and the patience of our bus customers who have basically stood with us for 4 years, and may they now enjoy this building and the services it offers.
The second stage of the interchange is due to be completed later on in the year as construction rolls on. Jared McCulloch, CTV News. Well, still to come here on CTV News, what is Canterbury's top building apprentice doing next? And welcome back to CTV News. What does the Mayor of 1998 think of the city's future? Former Mayor of Christchurch, Gary Moore, had his say at the Council's long-term plan hearings, saying what he'd do if he was in the hot seat again. The current mayor on one side, a former mayor on the other. Gary Moore entered back into his old stomping ground, sharing his views for the future city. He served from the late 90s up to 2007, taking the reins off now Deputy Mayor Vicky Buck. But there was a little confusion as to who was the current mayor.
Presentation as mayor of I got confused trying to remember that you were deputy mayor, not mayor.
I do too.
All jokes aside, Moore has made a submission to the draft long-term plan hearings at the Christchurch City Council, saying he understands the difficulty the current council are facing.
I've sat in your position. It was impossible to take it all in. And I saw projects rejected at the table, resurrecting themselves as a staff-promoted plan, and we had no way of stopping them.
The struggle continues for the Christchurch City Council after finishing up their 2 weeks of hearings from individuals and organisations around the city, with many coming forward to suggest and put forth proposals for the future Christchurch. But Moore says there needs to be another process different to the current strategy plan.
The long-term plan, I think, is just a base case. It really does need significant work after the 1st of July. And I consider that you should be completely reviewing your asset management plan.
He also talked about Christchurch East and how the council needs to have a clear focus about the area's future.
And the other thing is, don't let the red zone be a judder to the east. I've already had large organisations comment to me about their views on the east. And it'll be eaten up by big organisations unless the council stands up and says, this is our city. Government, we want to work closely with you. Because I actually think the government's there in good faith, and we need to actually, as a city, step up and say, we are your match.
He has a message for the current council too. Stand up to central government.
Don't think you are the junior party. Do not think that for a minute. You just work out how much this council is paying for, and then work out how much the net cost to the government is. I believe it's time for the City Council to step up. You need to show leadership.
Moore shared some ideas of his own to get the pieces of the struggling city back together.
Maybe you draw a line around Fendleton and Maryvale, and you say, from there to the east, which starts off at Littleton, from there to the east, that's your capital project for the next 10 years. And the rest of the city, it's maintenance, and then you focus on what is broken. I think it's important that we frame the debate away from huge rate increases and key asset sales. I personally believe that Red Bus and City Care don't need to be kept as assets.
He also suggested looking at the number of staff within council to help with costs. However, Moore says that a review on this would need to be done carefully.
We need to actually look at council processes and allow a critical review. You've got 320 people earning more than $100,000. You've got 130 staff in your IT section.
Now it's only a matter of time for the council to piece together the final edition of the 10-year plan, with the document due to be released in a month's time. Jared McCulloch, CTV News. This year's top Canterbury apprentice went on to the finals at the weekend, and although he didn't take out the Nationals, he's got a lot planned for the near future. Chelsea Daniels explains.
He's the latest in a line of much-needed building apprentices in Christchurch. And Mark Johnston was Canterbury's representative in the National Carpentry Apprentice Challenge over the weekend. He joined 11 other regional winners at the 17th Annual Certified Builders Conference held at Horncastle Arena. The initial challenge had apprentices competing to build household staples, such as framing wall or staircase. The final products going back to the Christchurch Polytechnic Institute of Technology to help train future generations of builders. Then came the Nationals.
We had to send in a work reference to the judges before the weekend, and then there was interviews on the Friday and then public speaking on the Saturday, which I think me and a lot of the boys were out of our comfort zone on that one.
The second-year apprentice didn't take home the title, but says he's learned a lot from the overall experience.
It's definitely given me a lot of confidence. The public speaking was the thing that I probably feared the most over the weekend, but actually getting up and giving it a go, it just brought my confidence right up.
Mark's supervisor, John McLarty, is happy with his efforts against more experienced builders. He says that if the young apprentice keeps up the good work, he will be a leader in his field one day.
I suggested he do it. I had two from this side who had a go, and both of them did really well. Mark won it in Christchurch and then went into the Nationals against 11 other guys. So, to be halfway through an apprenticeship and to deal with guys who are nearly finished, he's really got a good future ahead of him.
Since the Canterbury quakes, it is essential that housing is of the highest quality and is carried out by the best qualified builders. New techniques in building are being explored in Christchurch, ensuring the safety of all future residents in the event of another unexpected natural disaster.
Most of the design, I think, is built around sort of the earthquakes and how a house will react if it was to get hit again. So I think these days there's houses that if another earthquake hit, they wouldn't even be damaged. They'd still be left standing.
So what's next for Canterbury's best up-and-coming apprentice carpenter?
Definitely stick around in Canterbury, help out here as much as I can, and then just play it by ear, see what the future holds.
Chelsea Daniels, CTV News.
It's been a year since Ashburton has seen seen its historic art pieces. There we go. But after lengthy delays, the new Ashburton Art Gallery is now open.
The last piece in a $10 million Ashburton Art Gallery and Heritage Centre is finally in place, 9 months later than planned. After lengthy delays, cost blowouts and a faulty part, the town's long-awaited centre opened yesterday. The museum function of the building opened in February, but $4 million over budget and without a functioning air conditioner for its art pieces. The town had been in much need of an arts gallery, with its predecessor building closing a year ago, and its permanent art pieces have been in storage ever since. With the absence of an art gallery in Christchurch, gallery management said the new centre has been eagerly awaited. About 350 people attended the opening yesterday, twice the number than expected. Lectures, artist talks and workshops were planned for the opening season to make the most of the new facility. However, its delayed opening means several touring exhibitions have been missed, and the gallery expects to make a financial loss this year.
Well, still to come here on CTV News, Sport and your region's weather. And welcome back to CTV News. Now here's Gordon Finlater with a roundup of the weekend's sport.
The Crusaders' Super Rugby playoff hopes are now all but over after they suffered a heartbreaking loss to the Waratahs in Sydney. The side came into Saturday night's game 5 points behind the Waratahs, who occupied 6th spot and were hoping for a win, which would put them right back in the hunt. Just a minute into the game, the Crusaders got the start they wanted, with Fijian winger Nemani Ndolo crossing the line. The home side quickly answered back though, with their second try coming midway through the first half, giving the Waratahs a 17-8 lead at the break. 2 second-half tries to the Crusaders got them back within 3 points of the Waratahs with less than 15 minutes remaining, before the sin-binning of Richie McCaw handed the momentum back to the home side, who took advantage of the extra man, grabbing a late try to seal the match, 32 points to 22. With just 3 games remaining, the Crusaders are now 7 points off the playoffs and now have to win all of their remaining games while hope other results go their way. Well, to basketball now, where the Rams were unable to stay in the win column, going down to the Hawke's Bay Hawks at Cal Stadium yesterday. The Rams had a comfortable win over the same opposition a week earlier, but the tides turned yesterday, with the Hawks shooters turning up, while Canterbury struggled to find their range shooting game, which proved instrumental a week earlier. Richie Edwards managed just 3 from 12 beyond the arc, while import Jermaine Taylor didn't have better luck, shooting just 2 from 8 attempts. The final score there, 84-75, which now puts the Rams' record at 6 wins and 6 losses. The Mainland Tactics' woeful season continued last night, with the side handed their second blowout loss in as many weeks. Going up against the Queensland Firebirds in Blenheim, the Tactics grabbed a break of throw to go to an early 2-point advantage, but it was all downhill from that point forward. The Tactics' turnovers, which have plagued the side all season, set in, while the Firebirds had a constant stream of goals through their imposing goal shooter, Romelda Aitken. The side now have just 1 match remaining to avoid going the whole season without a victory. And finally tonight, to a slightly less morbid sporting story, as Hayden Paddon made his way back into the points over the weekend at the Rally of Portugal. After a string of issues to start this year's World Rally Championship, Paddon's Hyundai held it together in Portugal, with the Kiwi guiding his car to an 8th placed finish. The rally was taken out by Finland's Jari-Matti Latvala. You're up to date with the latest in local sport. I'm Gordon Findlater for CTV Sport.
Thanks for that, Gordon. Now it's time for your region's weather.
Good evening, Canterbury. Let's take a look at today's temperatures. Down in Timaru, you had a high of 10 today. Temuka and Geraldine, you were also both on 10 degrees. Ashburton, 10 degrees for you as well. Methven, a little cooler on 9. Rakaia, 10 degrees for your Monday. Darfield, Leeston and Rolleston, you all shared a high of 9 degrees. A similar picture for Lincoln and Christchurch, 9 degrees for both of you. Over in Akaroa, a very cold day for you today with a high of 7 degrees. Rangiora, Kaiapoi and Amberley, 9 degrees. Taking a look further inland, Colwyn, Hamner Springs and Cheviot, you all shared a high of 10 degrees. Kaikoura, a high of 9 for your Monday. Now to tomorrow's temperatures. Timaru, mostly fine and sunny tomorrow with cold southwesterlies easing further. Tonight's low, a cold -1. Tomorrow's high, 13.
So why don't you choose me too? It's no mistake.
Ashburton, mainly clear skies and decreasing cold southwesterly winds from mid-Canterbury as well. Watch out for heavy frosts tomorrow night. Tonight's low, -1. Tomorrow's high, 13 degrees.
I stand awake when I see you and your beauty.
To the Garden City now. Some cloud at times tomorrow, but sunny periods as well. Still very cold with gusty southwesterlies. Tonight's low getting down to 2. Tomorrow's high, 12 degrees.
Just let us do it. I need you sometimes, and I'll hold on to.
Kaikoura, another chilly, breezy day ahead with some cloud most of the day. Tonight's low 2, tomorrow's high 12 degrees. In other areas around the region now, expect a cold day, mostly fine throughout the region. Temuka and Geraldine, cold with a high of 13. Methven and Rakaia, you can also expect 13 degrees. Darfield, 13 for you also. Leeston and Rolleston, 12 degrees for your Tuesday. Over in Akaroa, showers and some cloud with a high of 11 degrees. Rangiora, Kaiapoi and Amberley, you can expect a high of 12 degrees. Up north in Colvin, Hamner Springs and Cheviot, fine with a high of 13. Some cloud at first on Wednesday, but cloud clearing and becoming fine and sunny with cold southwesterlies easing. Further heavy frosts Wednesday night, so wrap up warm. Mostly fine and sunny on Thursday and Friday, with light northeasterly winds, cold with frosts at night as well. High cloud increasing on Saturday, with moderate to fresh northeasterly winds developing. Lighter winds on Sunday with mostly cloudy skies. A few spits of rain may spread off the western ranges at times. And that's your weather update for Monday.
Thanks for that, Mercy. I might have to crank out that hot water bottle again. And that's CTV News for Monday. We leave you now with a time-lapse of the construction of the bus interchange. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Jared McCulloch. Good evening.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.